Let's talk about what is relevant. What is relevant in your life? What is the most immediate thing that requires or demands your attention? And there's a sutta where the Buddha is teaching a group of monks in the forest, and he picks up a handful of leaves and he says, "What do you think is greater, monks? The amount of leaves in my hands or the amount of leaves in this whole forest?" Right? So of course the monks say the leaves in the whole forest, that amount is greater. And the Buddha says similarly, the amount of leaves in the forest, this is like the number of things that I have direct knowledge of. But what I'm teaching is like these handful of leaves. So in other words, the Buddha knew a great many things, but he really only talked about or only taught things that were relevant to the goal of awakening. It's called nibbana in the ancient Pali language, enlightenment. And nibbana is a beautiful word, and there's a lot to say about it. But um, in a way, we could talk about it in terms of freedom of suffering, freedom from suffering. So part of the Buddha's wisdom, and I remember hearing Ajahn Sona say this when I first met him when I was young. Part of the Buddha's wisdom is that he didn't ask all these questions like how far is the earth from the sun, and there's so many amazing metaphysical and physics related questions, scientific questions. Really, he recognized that what is most immediate, what is most relevant is our suffering. We feel pain. We are sensitive beings. We feel the pangs of grief, lamentation, despair, anxiety, sorrow, and worry. And there's so many things that we experience. So while it might be interesting to ponder or learn other topics, what is most important, most immediate, most relevant is that we free ourselves from suffering, that we learn how to decrease our suffering, and that we learn how to make our happiness, our joyfulness, our peace less and less conditioned, right? In other words, um, human beings can experience happiness, and we can get happiness from so many things, right? A cone of ice cream, or a promotion at work, or someone telling us that we look good today, or someone smiling at us when we're walking past them on the street. There's so many things that can bring us happiness, but the Buddha recognized that if our happiness is dependent on external circumstances, then it's very brittle, it's very weak, it's very easy for that happiness to be disengaged or lost. And you'll have experienced this where sometimes out of nowhere you'll think of something, you'll remember something, and your happiness is lost. Um, this is one of the reasons why people who go through something difficult like a breakup or they lose their job or something like that, they really kind of experience despair for a long period of time because their mind is not developed or trained. So the mind's just running around and bumping into things. And it'll bump into this, oh yeah, this breakup happened. Why did she leave me? Why did he leave me? So on and so forth. Right? So that's a depiction of someone who suffers. Yes, there's happiness at times, but it's not reliable. It doesn't have a foundation. So on the Buddha's in the Buddha's teachings, we learn how to make our happiness less conditioned. In other words, less dependent on conditions that come and go, and more reliable until we come to the goal, which is a full freedom, full liberation from suffering, complete awakening, happiness. So we want to take this as our orientation on this path.